3 kids disappeared every 7 years in our town. Today I found out why my parents never let me near the basement. I, 28F, never thought I'd be sharing this story, but after what happened last week, I need to get this off my chest. While cleaning out my parents' attic during their move, I found my old diary from when I was 13. At first, I smiled at the sparkly purple cover and the little lock that used to make me feel so secure. But as I started reading through those pages, my hands began to shake. Let me back up a bit. My childhood always seemed normal. Almost boring, really. Middle-class suburb, decent schools, family dinners every night. My parents were strict but loving, or at least that's what I always told myself. I had this weird gap in my memories from when I was 12 to 14, but my mom always said it was because nothing interesting happens at that age. The diary started normally enough. Typical teenage stuff about crushes and friend drama. But then I reached the entries from October 2008. The handwriting changed, became more frantic, harder to read. I started writing about the basement door, and how I wasn't supposed to talk about what happened down there. At first, I thought it was just my teenage imagination running wild. I remembered our basement being totally normal, just storage boxes and my dad's workbench. But then I found entries describing sounds at night, scratching behind the walls, and how they made me promise never to tell anyone. The most disturbing part? I have absolutely no memory of writing any of this. None. But it's definitely my handwriting, my diary, my words. I recognized the way I used to dot my I's with little circles. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about how my parents always got weird whenever I mentioned the basement in our old house. How they never let me go down there alone after I turned 14. How they sold that house so quickly when I went to college, even though the market was terrible. Yesterday, I drove back to my old neighborhood. The house looks different now, new paint, new windows. I worked up the courage to knock on the door. The current owners were this sweet elderly couple who've lived there for the past 5 years. When I mentioned the basement, the wife's face changed. She said they'd found something strange during renovations. A second door behind some old shelving, sealed shut with multiple locks. They never opened it. Said their contractor took one look and refused to touch it, told them some things are better left alone. But here's what makes my blood run cold. They mentioned hearing scratching sounds at night, especially during the full moon. I've been going through old family photos looking for clues. In every single picture from those 2 years, I look different. Not just teenage awkwardness different. My eyes are vacant, like I'm not really there. And in the background of one Christmas photo, I can see the basement door, with 3 heavy locks that I don't remember ever being there. My parents are coming over tomorrow to drop off more boxes from their move. I haven't told them about finding the diary. Part of me wants to confront them, demand answers about what really happened during those years. But another part is terrified of what I might learn. This morning, I found an old newspaper article from 2008 about a series of mysterious disappearances in our neighborhood. 3 kids, all around my age at the time, all vanished within months of each other. The cases were never solved. The article mentioned how they all lived within a 5-block radius of our house. I've been having these flashes of memory. Nothing concrete, just fragments. The sound of heavy footsteps on wooden stairs. The smell of damp earth and something metallic. A voice telling me to keep quiet, that it would all be over soon. The worst part? Last night, while reading more of the diary, I found a folded piece of paper tucked between the pages. It's a crude drawing of the basement door, but with strange symbols drawn around it. At the bottom, in my childish handwriting, are the words. They said they'll come back for me when I'm ready. I need to know what happened during those years. What did my parents know? What were they protecting me from? Or were they protecting something else? The diary entries get more disturbing as they go on, and I'm only halfway through. My hands are shaking as I write this, but I have to keep reading. I have to know the truth, even if it destroys everything I thought I knew about my childhood. I stayed up all night reading the rest of the diary. My hands are trembling as I type this, but I need to get this out. The entries from November 2008 are different. The handwriting becomes almost unrecognizable, like I was writing in a panic. There are pages where the pen pressed so hard it tore through the paper. I found an entry that made me physically sick. It described a night when I heard crying coming from behind the basement door. Not adult crying, a child's sobs. I apparently went downstairs to investigate against their rules. The entry ends abruptly with, I saw them. Oh God, I saw what they really look like. The next 10 pages are filled with the same sentence over and over. I have to pretend I don't remember. Some are written normally, others are barely legible, like I was writing in the dark. The pages are stained with what looks like tears. This morning, my parents came over with more moving boxes. I tried to act normal, but I couldn't stop staring at my dad's hands. The diary mentioned something about his hands always being dirty with strange red mud. He caught me looking and asked if everything was okay. I almost broke down right there. While they were here, I casually brought up our old house. Mom got that same tight look she always gets when it's mentioned. But it was Dad's reaction that really got to me. He dropped the box he was holding. Inside were old photo albums. And guess what spilled out? Pictures I've never seen before, from those missing years. In one photo, there's a group of kids at what looks like a birthday party. 3 of them are the kids who went missing. I looked up their pictures online to confirm. And there I am, standing next to them, wearing a necklace I don't remember owning. It had some kind of strange pendant that's blurred in the photo. I did some more digging online and found something terrifying. Every 7 years, going back to the 1950s, kids have gone missing in that neighborhood. Always 3 at a time, always during October and November. The most recent disappearances were in 2015, 7 years after my diary entries. I called my old therapist. Apparently, I had sessions with her during those years, but I have no memory of them. She seemed nervous when I brought it up, said those records were, unfortunately, lost in a filing system upgrade. But her voice shook when she said it. The diary entries from December are the worst. They talk about the ritual, and how they needed us. How I was the lucky one, because my parents made the deal. What deal? What did my parents do? I found a hidden pocket in the diary's back cover. Inside was a key, old, heavy, made of some dark metal. There's an address scratched into it, but it's not to our old house. I googled it. It's an abandoned church about 20 miles from our old neighborhood. My cousin messaged me today. She's been helping my parents pack, and she found something strange in their bedroom. A box of old videos labeled with dates from 2008. She says my parents freaked out when they caught her looking at them, insisted they were just old home movies. But she saw a few seconds of one. She says it showed the basement. I asked her to send me the tapes secretly. They'll arrive tomorrow. Part of me doesn't want to watch them, but I need answers. The diary's final entry is from Christmas Eve 2008. It just says, they're letting me forget. They say it's better this way. But they'll be back. They always come back. And next time, they'll want me to help them choose. The scratching sound I mentioned earlier? I heard it last night in my own apartment. When I turned on the lights, I found mud on my kitchen floor, red mud, like the kind my dad always had on his hands. But I live on the 3rd floor and all my windows were locked. My mom just called. She sounds panicked. Says she and dad can't find some important papers, and asked if I've seen anything while helping them pack. Then she asked in this strange voice if I've been sleeping well or having any unusual memories. When I didn't answer right away, she started crying. I have to know what's in those videotapes. I have to know what my parents did. And most of all, I have to know why I was the lucky one, and what they expect me to do when they come back. The tapes arrived this morning. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the first one into my old VCR. What I saw, I don't even know how to process it. The footage is grainy, but it's clearly our old basement. The camera is focused on that second door, the one behind the shelves. In the first video, dated October 1st, 2008, my dad is putting those locks on the door. Mom is there too, crying. They keep looking over their shoulders at something off camera. There's a sound in the background, like whispering, but when I turn up the volume, it's not in any language I recognize. The second tape is worse. It's me sitting on the basement stairs talking to someone or something. The camera angle doesn't show what I'm looking at, but you can see my face. That vacant expression I noticed in the photos. Now I know why. My mouth is moving, but there's no sound. The date stamp shows this was the night before the first kid disappeared. I had to stop watching after the third tape. It showed my parents in the basement with a group of people in dark clothes. They were drawing those same symbols from my diary on the floor. The symbols glowed. They actually glowed. This isn't some trick of the light or video artifacts. They were moving, pulsing like they were alive. I drove to that church today, the one from the address on the key. It's been abandoned for decades, according to the local historical society. The weird thing, the symbols from the basement are carved into the foundation stones. They look ancient, like they were there long before the church was built. The key didn't fit any of the church doors, but I found something else, a small metal plaque hidden behind overgrown vines. It listed dates, pairs of 3 numbers every 7 years, going back to 1880. The last set of numbers matched the ages of the kids who disappeared in 2015. When I got home, my parents were waiting in my apartment. They were just sitting there in the dark. Mom was holding my diary and Dad had my old necklace, the one from the photo. They didn't seem surprised or angry, just resigned. They told me everything. The truth is worse than anything I could have imagined. That basement door? It's not a door to a room. It's something else. Something that's been there since before the town existed. Every 7 years it needs to be fed. 3 children, willing or not. If it doesn't get what it wants, it takes everyone. My parents made a deal in 2008. They helped find other children so it wouldn't take me. The necklace was protection, but it came with a price. When they come back, I'm supposed to help find the next 3. That's why they let me forget, so I could live a normal life until I was ready to take up the responsibility. But here's the thing, those missing memories are coming back. I remember the whispers, the promises, the feeling of something ancient and hungry reaching out from behind that door. I remember the other kids' faces, their screams, what my parents helped do to them. I'm writing this from a motel room 50 miles away. The necklace is in a lead box. Mom said that would contain its influence. The diary and tapes are with me too. I've made copies of everything and stored them in multiple secure locations. If anything happens to me, the truth gets out. The scariest part? It's not just our basement. That church, the symbols, the 7-year cycle. It's happening in other places too. I found similar patterns of disappearances in towns across the country. Different locations, same story. Parents protecting their own children by sacrificing others. Tonight's the full moon. In exactly 1 month, it'll be 7 years since the last disappearances. They'll be coming for me soon, expecting me to take my parents' place. But I have a different plan. That second door in the basement? It's not just an entrance. According to the diary entries I'd been too scared to really understand before, it can be destroyed, but only from the other side. Mom called again. She's hysterical. Says I don't understand what I'm doing, that I'll doom everyone. Maybe she's right. But I can't live with this knowledge. I can't become what they are. I'm going back to the old house tonight. The elderly couple who lives there now. Turns out they know more than they let on. They've been waiting for someone like me, someone who remembers. They have keys too. If you're reading this and I don't make it back, look for the symbols. Look for the patterns of missing children. Look for the doors that shouldn't exist. They're everywhere once you know what to look for. And if you find a diary or a necklace or a key, burn them. Run. Don't make the deals my parents made. Some prices are too high, even for the ones we love. I have to go now. The sun is setting, and I can hear scratching at my door. But this time I'm not hiding. This time, I'm going to face what's behind that door. And I'm going to end it, even if it means I have to end too. If I don't post an update, you'll know what happened. And maybe, just maybe, 3 more kids will get to grow up without mysterious gaps in their memories, without the weight of impossible choices, without the whispers behind locked doors. Look for the symbols. And whatever you do, don't make deals with what lives in the dark. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.